come and sit over here if you want. I was joking last time I was here that we need a lazy Susan up on this book. And she lives her life that way too. And she is smart. Then she said, the commentator asked, did you learn any other thing from somebody else? And she said this, yes, I did. It comes from a savvy mother-in-law who gave me advice on my wedding day. Now there's a well-timed kind of lesson. Here's what she said. In every good marriage, it helps sometimes to be a little deaf. I have followed that advice persistently, not only at home for 56 years of marital partnership unequaled, I've also employed in every place I work, including the Supreme Court. When a thoughtless or unkind word is spoken, best tune out. Reacting in anger or annoyance will not advance one's ability to persuade. Now that is brilliant stuff. That's brilliant stuff. And there's another lesson down the line where I'm going to come back and refer to that. Oh, here it is already. Someone else said, now this is not her or one of her teachers, this is an ancient, this was drug up by the archaeologists thousands of years ago. When you verbally attack someone, you are hardening your own arteries. Well, that's pretty smart. That's really good. When we are angry, what are we? We are tense. We go like that, or we want to get a stick or a gun or something, and we are really tense. And the whole idea of hardening our own arteries out of acting with anger and retaliation isn't helpful. The next lesson is from my mother, Florence Elizabeth Dietrich McClary, and who I've known all my life. She passed away about 15 years ago, but she taught me something. She taught me a number of things that I still practice, and this is the number one. And some of you have heard this story before. We were moving. I was in high school at the time, and I had a car, and so I would go back to the old house and pick up the cardboard boxes and all the stuff that was in them, and move to the new house, which was about 5 blocks away, so it wasn't very far. And the very last trip, she was down on her knees scrubbing the kitchen floor. And I said to her, remember, I'm in high school, why are you doing that? I mean, the fact the place is dirty, we're out of here. And she said, well, when we came here, this house was filthy. And you always want to leave a place better than you found it. Now, I have lived that way, and it just makes life better. When you go in and find a mess and you clean it up. It's a very, very helpful way to live. Thank you, Mom. Oh, she taught me something else too. We were on a street corner, and no signals, and a four-way deal. And she said, now I want to teach you something. And we stopped, and she said, whenever you come to a corner, whenever you're going to cross the street, here's what: stop, look, and listen before you cross the street. Now, 3 days ago, I crossed the street, and I said to myself, stop, look, and listen before you cross the street. And I think one of the reasons why I'm this old is because I've been killed at a street corner. So if I ever get killed at a street corner, you hope that I forgot about this. Another lesson from John and Julie Gottman. Now, John and Julie Gottman are the supreme researchers of what makes people function as a couple and what makes people dysfunction as a couple. And that's not only just the intimate couple, but also has to do with business, also has to do with our committees that we're on, and sports activities that we're involved in. And here's what they have dozens of things, but for me, this is the most important one. Soft beginnings and soft endings of our sentences and paragraphs are healthy. Harsh beginnings and harsh endings of our sentences and paragraphs are unhealthy. So an example. harsh. Your dog did its business on my carpet again. We've talked about it 1,000 times, and you've never been willing to do anything about it. So my suggestion is the next time it happens, let's get rid of the dog. But that person walks out the door and slams it and leaves. Well, that's harsh. Okay? Now, same situation, but soft. You know, we've talked about this a lot. After dinner tonight, would you be willing to sit down and talk about the dog? I think I may have come up with a solution that is going to work for you, me, and the dog. Are you willing to have that conversation? Now that's soft. I learned that from Gottman. And when I teach relationship stuff, that's one of the primary things that I teach. Now I learned dozens of lessons from my wife, some which I can tell in public, and some that we're hearing just between she and me. But here's one. And I never thought of this in my whole life. I could have lived 100 years without Linda's influence, and I would never thought of this. And listen to this. Whenever possible, take the scenic route. Does that sound like Linda? Yeah. Now, see, I always, my deal was different. Always take the fastest one. If you get a freeway, that's wonderful. You don't want a back road where you have to stop and start, and there are cows and chickens and pigs and all that, and you have to stop for them, and there are trees, and there are flowers, and there are all kinds of things. I want the freeway. Get there, and that'll be it. But I sometimes, when I'm alone, now I take the scenic route. And I attribute it to Linda. Now, Linda and I went to India for our honeymoon 35 years ago. And among other things, we met with Sai Baba, who is a guru who passed away now. And I have great respect for him. And every day he wrote. He didn't actually write it, but somebody else wrote it for him. And he put up a thing on the bulletin board. So you would go there and get a little piece of advice. And here's what was there one day. Leave on your journey early. Enjoy the trip. Arrive early. Rest before the event. Now that sounds a lot like take the scenic route, doesn't it? Those two kind of go together. And so we try to do that. It just makes life easier when you're not late. And when I'm doing a wedding or something, and I have an anticipation that I might be late, I get really tight. And I don't like it, so I like to leave early, enjoy the trip, and all of that. Now, there is another saying, again, an old one. This is not Sai Baba's, it's somebody else, but it's this. Better to arrive a little late in this world than a little early in the next. Now, I thought that was rather brilliant. After you get someplace and you're going to get killed while you're doing it, that's not going to work. So the final thing. Now by the way, there were 10 of these, and so I was going to count down like Letterman. Number 10 is, and I rejected that because all of these are equally important. And what is important, one of them may be number 1 for you, and one may be number 10 for you, and you do that for everybody, and it's just a hodgepodge, and therefore I didn't do it that way. I was thinking also about maybe hiring the Stanford band. Every time we have a little break, they would play. That'd be good. And I'll tell you where I got the idea. About 30-some years ago, I conducted a wedding here, and the two people who got married were in the chorus of the San Francisco Opera. And the choir that day, they stood back here, were 30 or 35 people who were in the opera choir. And you couldn't believe it. I thought I died one day. Actually, I did go to heaven, but I didn't die. And Martha was the coordinator absolutely amazed that we had the opportunity of doing this. I mean, a concert like that would have cost us $300 these days. And this place was filled like it's never been filled before. A great privilege. The last thing is listen to our internal guidance system. Our internal guidance system includes dreams, things that we see, hear, and feel during meditation. When we're with a person that we have great respect for and they say something and it means something to us, that's involved as well. And then there are internal voices. Now, Mozart, when his internal guidance system, he heard music. And he wrote to a friend of his saying, I wish this music would stop in my head, it's driving me nuts. The rest of us wish he had lived another 50 years and wrote the rest of it. He said that he never, ever wrote a note. He only wrote down what he heard. That's really internal listening. And some people, when they meditate, they see stuff. Other people hear stuff. Other people's kind of blank. You never know what you're going to get. And so now, a couple months ago in September, I had a birthday. And on the day of my birthday, Linda got out of bed first, and she went downstairs. And it's always nice on a cold day to be the second person up, because the furnace gets turned on. And then when you get up, it's a little nicer. So I'm lying in bed, and all of a sudden, I remember that it's my birthday. And I said to myself, today I am 79 years of age. And I heard, take your foot off the accelerator and enjoy the rest of the journey. Wow. Is that smart? For a workaholic? I mean, that is brilliant stuff. I would never have thought of that. And that's why I know it's authentically coming from someplace else, because I would never have said, slow down, take it easy, don't try to accomplish anything again the rest of your life, just enjoy what you've done. I would have said, run until you die. Something like that. So, these are the lessons that I have learned, that I wanted to say today, and now we're ready to hear lessons that you've learned.
Yeah, writing it down is also good.
Okay, sorry.
Well, my mother taught me something, many things, but many years ago when I first moved to California and started coming to this church, I was single at the time, and my mom and I came to church, and I remember when we were driving home, we were on the Golden Gate Bridge, and being kind of a young, maybe sort of bratty girl, I was driving along and was anxious to get ahead of people, so I cut in front of somebody. And my mother didn't flinch at all, but she did very quietly say, gee, honey, I don't remember seeing you do any good deeds yet today. I've remembered that my entire life.
Well, you did a good deed by telling us that story. Yes.
As some of you know my parents, and I'm thinking of things relevant today, my mother's in a more ethereal realm, and my father's in the very practical world of man. I'll start with my father. Starting about the age of 11, on weekends, I would wake and there'd be a box of tools and supplies out in the front of the house, and a note with an address for a house that was a rental, that are still in the family, as a matter of fact. And my father would expect me to get transportation to whatever that location is, and the note might be retile the bathroom, or paint the front room, or re-caulk, and an address of a hardware store with an account for supplies. My father wanted me to learn two lessons from that. One was, it isn't And I never forget that one. Now, that's long before rubber gloves, etc. And this box might include a plunger. And I did a lot of very disagreeable things by most people's standards, but I always remembered he trusted me that I'll figure out how to do it, and that I can always wash my hands no matter how disagreeable the task. So to this day, I still maintain real estate. Over the years, it's been dozens and dozens of houses that have come and gone, but there isn't any project other than maybe electrical that I don't have. My mother's advice that I never forget also is never go to sleep angry with a member of the family. You must kiss every member of the family goodnight, no matter how annoyed you are. And amongst 3 boys, you know how tempers can fly. So we had a rule. You kissed everybody goodnight, you kissed everybody good morning, no matter how you felt. And it was very hard to stay angry with somebody that you won't kiss. Now, as an aside, and another lesson I've learned, and this is a downer for me, society now discourages us from kissing, greeting people, unless the relationship is really close and very tight. So I used to kiss the opponent ladies on the tennis courts at the end of the game. I don't anymore. I used to kiss people I'm meeting in a social environment. I don't anymore. I think that's a sad commentary on our current society.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, everybody.
Yeah, maybe we can get to the Congress to be kissing before and after. That would be a good thing for television. Yes, all right.
It was so strange this morning when I wake up and my mother taught me to do prayer and then meditation, let your mind go blank, and then so it came in. And it's been one of the best tools as for writing books. And when you said Ruth Bader Ginsburg, I met her when a man I coached said, I finally got a job again. I'm working menial job card, but I want you to see it. I'm helping people exercise. That's how I met Ruth Bader Ginsburg. He took me to see his friend who was the one working her out. And she was life-changing for me. She said, 3 minutes, meaning quiet. I've got 3 minutes more to go. And when she's done, she said, mutuality matters. And that's been the ringer for me the rest of my life. In brief, the power of saying, being not in a bubble, but to see a possibility or shared interest with anybody you meet. Number 2, she said, don't start talking about you first. First say something about them. Ask if you're on target. Say, can we tell me some more? The follow-up questions. That was helpful as a journalist. Then she said, get specific sooner. When you're specific, you have greater self-clarity about what you're saying and what you mean. Second, it's less likely that people will misunderstand you. Third, it's more credible. And fourth, it's most memorable. And you know, this was like within 10 minutes of talking with her. So she was very clear about that. And I'm just saying this back to you. I wrote a book about it and I sent it to her. She says, no, don't cite me. Just keep it about you. Knocked me out. And it's called Mutuality Matters. And that the idea is the healthiest relationships are not based on a quid pro quo, but an ebb and flow of mutual support over time. And to me, there's so much about life now where people want to be well known, they want to push at you to do something. And my mom and dad always said the power of pull. When you notice something matters to someone else, follow up with it. Because to me, it's the power of unexpected possibilities. More things have happened to me in my life because of people that I met by accident. We helped each other in some way, and they came back. And I'm so grateful for that. These points in our life when we meet people, and we don't try to think, what can I get from that person? But let me understand that person better, because that's one of the best learning tools I can have. And you've definitely been one of those people.
Amen.
Nice. Yes.
Two quick things. I won't explain them or go into a lot of detail, but one is learning how to witness your thoughts. And there's lots about it on the internet. You can look it up. if you don't know about it. It's extremely valuable for learning about how you talk to yourself. And it also helps you have a sense of balance and centeredness. And the other is the empty chair technique, something taught to me by Arundhati. And it's also, when you gave a sermon many years ago, one of my favorites, about having Jesus next to you in the car as you drove, and you could like say everything you wanted to say and have this wonderful conversation. So doing that with anyone who has passed over, anyone that you're mad at, anyone that you just want to talk to, it doesn't really matter what's happening actually while you do this. What matters is what you learn from the experience, and it's pretty great. So, 2 lessons.
My grandmother has 2 things that I think about all the time. And one, she said, because they ebb and flow, sometimes they have more money, less money, through their 50, 60 years. And she would say, it doesn't matter how much money you have, you can always have a clean house. Because she just said, it takes a bar of soap and a sponge, that's it. And she meant that in your soul as well. So she would say it both when cleaning, or she was talking about sharing something with someone. And another aspect she would say, or another phrase she would say, is it's easier to keep up than to catch up. And once again, she meant that with bills, but she also meant if you were come bowling over, if you should say something to someone about something that was bothering you, she'd say, well, remember, it's easier to keep up than to catch up.
Nice.
Yeah, this is sage advice from my father. He used to say, always be sincere, whether you mean it or not.
David.
The resurrection of David Jacobs.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
A couple of really quick things. One, I think Linda makes every journey scenic just by being with her. So you've had that gift from the beginning with her. And secondly, when I walked in today, this is the first time I've been here since the pews have been rearranged, and it struck me in a really powerful way how that this church has physically moved from a hierarchical design where there's a leader and the responders to a mandala where the entire thing is cooperative and interwoven and collaborative, and it feels like it represents a whole new paradigm, which I found delightful. And the third one is, you were talking about stop, look, and listen, and at a crossroads or where 2 streets come together, and in mythology and ancient traditions, the crossroads was always where the danger was, because that's where the thieves could hide and attack you. And it was always also where the opportunity was, because there were new possibilities and other surrounds. And if we could all just remember, and I'm speaking to myself first, that when I come to a crossroads like that in thinking or choice or possibility, if I would stop and look and listen rather than march ahead because, by George, I know what I'm going to do, it would be very useful. Thank you.
Thanks.
When I was in high school, 65 years ago, we had what they call assembly once a week.
Oh, yeah.
The student body would go to the auditorium, and we frequently had guest speakers. And this particular time, the guest speaker was Glenn Cunningham. Now, some of you, my age group, may know he was a well-known runner, miler. He ran the mile. And, I don't remember anything about what he said, except the last thing that he said was, remember, you're not what you think you are, but what you think you are. That's what I heard. And that doesn't make sense. You're not what you think you are, but what you think you are. Well, then I realized there was a punctuation, a comma. What he really said was, you're not what you think you are, but what you think you are.
Nice. We can conclude with that. Got any more? Right?
Well, I just mentioned that Glenn Cunningham was burned very severely as a child, and just the fact that you ran is unbelievable.
Well, there's an expression that I have used all of my life, really. I learned it in school. I learned it, matter of fact, I think it came from an expression that someone like George might have said to me. Now that I think of it, I know where it came from. I won't say that now. But the expression is, act enthusiastic and you'll be enthusiastic. I live by that. I think it's a way that I say it to myself every morning. But another expression is, and it's attributable to the Italians, certainly not the Irish. It's, don't get mad, get even.
I just want to say, the most clever, you leave a message on your machine, so when people call and you're not there, they can leave a message. And he had the most clever one ever. Oh, thanks for calling. Nancy and I are gone, but we'll be back. And this is Dr. Thorpe, what's his name?
Kevorkian?
Kevorkian. We changed our mind.
Well, as I mentioned before, a lot of us got married here, and so Marty and I were married here about 30 years ago, a little over 30 years ago. And before we got married, George, we had a meeting beforehand, and George gave us a little cassette to listen to. And one thing I learned from that was that, when you're in a situation where you're having maybe a disagreement or something, it's not who's right or wrong, but what's the truth of the situation. And that's the one thing that really stuck with me. And 30 years, we're still on our honeymoon, so it seems.
That's the word. Okay, thank you very much for all of this. And I reiterate that there's enough wisdom in this room. If we wanted to, we could write a book. And if we were clever enough to give it a good title, it'd be a bestseller. Thank you.